I want you to go to the study that I'm linking here in the notes. It was put out years ago. It should be highlighted every year for people because autoimmune conditions are on the rise. And this study said that 70% of autoimmune conditions are environmental triggers. Only 30% are genes. Dr. Mindy here, and on this video, I'm gonna dive into the fasts and the foods and even how to break your fast for autoimmune conditions. So if you are new to my channel, I just wanna say welcome. I am on a mission to end chronic disease by teaching the world how to fast. I wanna get 1 million people to this channel this year, and I wanna get you all fasting and discovering just how miraculous your body was designed to be. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get all the new content that I put out and the live Q&As. And those of you that send these videos out into the world, so grateful for you. And remember, as always, please leave your fasting testimonial in the comments so everybody can learn from them. Okay, it is that time again for another reset. And this time I am doing a holiday fat burner reset. Here's what I've learned after 25 years in practice, that the best way to start off the new year right is to go into the holidays as a fat burner. So there are some tried and true techniques that I have been teaching my patients over the years that I'm going to teach you in this next holiday fat burner reset. So if you want to join me, just put fat burner reset in your comments and my team will send you a link. Okay, autoimmunity. We've had a lot of questions from you guys. Everything from Hashimoto's to RA, all the different autoimmune conditions. I wanted to create a video where I left just general, great protocols for all autoimmune conditions. So I have 4 different key principles I want to walk you through. So the first one is I want you to understand what an autoimmune condition is. What's happening to a lot of you guys is you walk into your medical doctor's office and they say, oh, you have RA. You ask, well, why do I have RA? And they say it's genetic. Okay, that is only one part of the story. There are 2 other pieces that they forgot to tell you. So yes, you have to have a gene, but there has to be a stressor, a physical, emotional, or chemical stressor that turns on that gene. And there is always a dysbiosis or dysfunction in your gut. And for some of you, that might be leaky gut. For some of you, that might be candida. So we're going to talk about that. So the first thing I want you to realize is you are not stuck with your autoimmune condition. This is not a life sentence. You have tools in your own internal body that you can access to minimize the symptoms and in many cases overturn that diagnosis. Now, if that seems crazy, I want you to go to the study that I'm linking here in the notes. It was put out years ago. It should be highlighted every year for people because autoimmune conditions are on the rise. And this study said that 70% of autoimmune conditions are environmental triggers. Only 30% are genes. So take that study to your doctor, show your doctor this video so that we can all work together in getting you well. Okay, so you are not your diagnosis. Let's help you overcome your diagnosis. Now, what fasts should you do? Now, if you're not fasting, let's just start by getting you fasting. So intermittent fasting, we want to get you over into this fat burning energy system. Let's start there. But there are 2 fasts in particular that help with autoimmune conditions. The first is we definitely want to get you into some fasts that are longer than 17 hours. 17 hours is this magic moment where you stimulate an intelligence in the cell that repairs the cell, and in sometimes the cell can identify, or the intelligence can identify that the cell is not healthy and it will kill the cell. That's great for cancer, that's great for autoimmune conditions. We want cellular death to happen so that these sick cells don't replicate and become tumors or become inflammation or start to create conditions like many of the autoimmune conditions. So first is more 17-hour fasts. That would probably look like if I had an autoimmune condition, I would be doing 5 days a week of 17-hour fast so I can stimulate autophagy or apoptosis, which is cellular death. Now, 1 day a week, I really want you to lean into a 24-hour fast. The reason that this is important is that 24 hours, we are seeing evidence in science of intestinal stem cells getting rebooted. That the intestinal stem cells, these cells that get damaged from toxins being put in your food, like glyphosate. Glyphosate is sprayed on so much of our food sources, and when we eat foods that have been sprayed with glyphosate, it causes something called a leaky gut. You can go listen to the podcast interview I did with Dr. Stephen Gundry on this particular topic. Just go to iTunes and look for under the Resetter podcast. We talk all about leaky gut and how it affects our overall health. So I want you to lean into more 24-hour fasts, okay? At least once a week, and then 5 days a week, you're doing autophagy fasting, and then as always, 1 day a week, I don't want you to fast. If that's new to you, go watch some of the videos I've done on fasting variation. Okay, the third thing, what foods will help you? This is where we want to lean into the 3 Ps. So the 3 Ps are polyphenol, probiotic, prebiotic foods. These foods are going to help to replenish your gut bacteria. Remember, all autoimmune conditions have a gut part. So we want to make sure we're growing good bacteria. So add in more of the olives, add in more of your, even dark chocolate is high in polyphenol, like a good dark chocolate that doesn't have a lot of sugar, is really kind of bitter. Add more leafy green vegetables, more raw nuts and seeds. These things can be very nourishing to your gut. More hemp seeds, chia seeds. Those are the 3 Ps. The other trick I want you to do is when you go especially into your 24-hour fast is I want you to break it with something probiotic rich. You guys have probably heard me say my favorite thing to break a fast with is a half an avocado with some sauerkraut on it. Then I sprinkle some chia seeds or hemp seeds on top of it so that I'm adding some good fat, but I'm also putting in good probiotics. Sometimes I break my fast with raw kefir because kefir has trillions of good bacteria in it. Sometimes I break my fast with bone broth because bone broth has glycine in it, which will repair the inner lining of your gut. So if you have an autoimmune condition, you're going to want to start to break your fast, especially the longer fast, 24 hours, with more gut-enhancing foods. Last thing, if you're doing all that, you're still not making progress with your autoimmune condition, we got to look at detoxing. The number one rule to detox is stop putting the toxins in. So look at your fragrances, your shampoos, your lotions, your household cleaners. Let's make sure you're not putting a lot of toxins into your body. My favorite app for this, by the way, is called Think Dirty. You can get it on your phone, download it, and scan all of your different products, and it'll tell you how toxic your shampoo is, how toxic your perfume is. All of these things matter when it comes to autoimmune conditions. Because remember, 70% of autoimmune conditions are environmental. So you might have triggered an autoimmune condition because of phthalates in your fragrances. Somebody else may have triggered an autoimmune condition because heavy metals like lead and mercury. So make sure you're scanning your products. And then the most important test you can do for toxicity is a heavy metal test. For phthalates, plastics, those things can actually, your body can process and detox them fairly well. The problem we have with those particular chemicals is we're getting daily exposure to them, so they just keep coming. With heavy metals, your body doesn't know how to get rid of them. So knowing what your heavy metal load is massively important. So if you want to do our heavy metal test, just put heavy metal test in the comments and my team will send you a link for that. So that's autoimmunity. Those are the basics. If you make sure you've got those handled, and if that is over time isn't doing what it needs to do to reverse your autoimmune condition, then you're going to have to look deeper. Come on into our academy where we've got a lot of people in there that are using these principles to overcome autoimmune conditions. Come on in there so we can support you in that process. And if you loved this video, I did another video on autoimmunity called What Lifestyle Changes Will Help Your Autoimmune Condition. Make sure you watch that video, but don't fall prey to a bad prognosis. You are more powerful than any autoimmune condition label that you may have been given. So just know that you've worked these principles and over time the body will heal. As always, I hope that helps. And if you have a great autoimmune testimonial, put it in the comments so everybody can learn from them.